everyone. Welcome to Two Therapists and a Microphone. I'm going to say lonely host tonight, Dr. Aisha Dickerson. Harrison Davis isn't with us today, but I'm sure he's out there watching somewhere. For those of you who aren't familiar with our show, Two Therapists and a Microphone is a show about mental health, relationships, and social issues that personally affect you. We broadcast live every Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. on the R Black Media Network. Harrison and I are two licensed psychotherapists with decades of clinical experience, and we want to hear from you. We want to hear about situations and dilemmas that you're going through. You can send us your questions by commenting under our show on Facebook, our YouTube, or you can also send us questions in advance to www.twotherapist.com and click on Ask Two Therapists at the top of the page. So today's show, I brought another therapist. She's not our regular second therapist, but I brought another therapist with me today because we're going to talk about sex therapy. It seems to be or have been more of a hot topic lately to the lay people. And we've had some shows in the past that has sex therapists as the guests, but they're really here talking about things other than sex therapy. So, um, I want to say that when I hear people talk about sex therapy, I'm starting to get the idea that there's some confusion. Like maybe it's just a marriage and family therapist who coaches people through having sex. And so tonight we're going to talk about what it really is. So I want to start by welcoming you all to our show and introducing our guest, Cheryl Walker. I'm going to give you a short bio, but we're going to touch more on what she does as we go through the show tonight. So, Cheryl Walker is an actual sex therapist and licensed associate counselor. She's originally from Birmingham, Alabama, but currently resides in Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm not talking about the suburbs, she lives in actual Atlanta. She received her BS in marketing from Hampton University and her master's in clinical mental health counseling from Argosy University in 2019. She's been trained in EMDR and CBT and is currently that's CBT, not CBD. I'll explain that to y'all later. She's currently pursuing sex therapy certification. She has worked to understand and correct misplaced beliefs about human sexuality. This has allowed her a comprehensive perspective on human sexuality, and she utilizes several mediums to reaffirm the beauty of human sexuality. She has also served as a member of Sexual Wellness and Counseling and the American Association of Sexuality Educators, Counselors, and Therapists. She also has a group called Hotel Sex Talk. Is it a group, Cheryl? Okay. Hotel Sex Talk. That's an interesting title. We'll get into that later. Cheryl currently works in a private practice setting, enriching the lives of individuals who struggle with finding their sexual voice. So, welcome to the show, Cheryl. I'm so excited to have you here with me tonight.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to this evening.
So, I want to start by having you give us, I guess, a broad definition of sex therapy. Like, what exactly is it? Do you give sex advice?
Yes and no. So let me, to your point, let me step back by saying what sex therapy is not.
Okay.
I am not in the bedroom with any of my clients saying put this here, touch this here, stick this here. Not doing that.
See, I'm glad that you cleared that up right from the beginning because I think that's what the majority of people think a sex therapist does. So you're not going to get in the bedroom with them. You don't have any voyeuristic tendencies. You don't want
Mm-mm,
to, have like live action pornography in front of you and get
mm-mm.
paid to teach them how to do it right.
Please, no live cam shots, no live, none of that. Please don't ask instructions. What do I do next? Now, there are actual intimate coaches, sex coaches, intimate partners, specialists who do that. There are sex workers who actually do that type of hands-on type of approach. That's not sex therapists.
So I heard you say sex workers, which when I think sex workers, I'm thinking like prostitutes. Are those not sex workers? We're
Uh,
talking.
they
Explain
are
what you mean when you say sex worker.
so they're the more unregulated sex workers. Yes, prostitutes and brothels and things of that nature. There are some more regulated sex workers, and they classify themselves as different things. Again, intimate partners, intimate relationship coaches. It depends on who you are working with, but they are actually they can get certification, they can get training so
Mm.
that they are actually in the bedroom with you. You can actually engage in activities with these folks. There is some therapeutic nature to it. Now, I looked like sideways when I first heard about it, but then I remember watching a case where a paraplegic who has no social skills, who really hasn't had that chance to date someone and be intimate with someone, i.e., your certified sex partner, not your hooker or your prostitute, but someone who is certified to actually be that conduit, be that person to teach them. This is how this is how you embrace a woman. This is how you do that, because sometimes folks who are challenged mobily don't have that space to do that. And then there's this stigma with purchasing an actual prostitute, right? So you can't really go and hire somebody because you want to see what it feels like, or you want to get your nut off, excuse the French. But
Somebody just said don't hold back, so you don't have to excuse your friend.
Yes, but there are actually people who are qualified to sit in that intimate space with you and show you and have you experience that orgasm. That you may not, again, if you are challenged, if you are neurologically challenged, you don't have that space to experience sex like that legally, unless you go to Amsterdam. That's a whole different conversation. But you don't have that space. So there are people who work. Exactly. You have people who work in that. But so yes, that's not what I do. I talk to both individuals, I talk to couples. There is some level of relationship communication stuff, but I go a little bit deeper and talk about, for instance, if someone has issues with erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, issues orgasming. Once we rule out the medical proponent of it, we talk about, okay, what type of attachment issues do you have? What type of sensory possibilities could be getting in the way? Are you able to really be present with your body and experience what pleasure looks like without all these stigmas of, the preacher said this, media said this, my boy said this, my partner says this. That's the therapeutic side. So when you talk about, it's a nice little combination of like, all right, functionality of sex in the bedroom, but then those mental blocks that prevent you from stepping in that space and actually experiencing pleasure, whether you're giving it or you're receiving it.
So when you talk about those mental blocks, why don't you tell us what are some of the common blocks that keep people from, I guess, being sexual or having a what's the word I'm looking for, Cheryl? Having a healthy sex life. Yeah, let's go with that.
So, and I wish I could say I take ownership in this. There is an awesome author, Emily Nagoski, I believe is her name. She wrote a great book, and she brought out the 3 M's: media, morality, and medicine. When you talk about blockage, media speaks for itself. Social media, people who are being airbrushed, porn tells you this is how you should engage in sex. This is what you should expect. This is how you should go all night. And no.
And do all that talk and make all that noise and
between the talking, between just ram it in there and she'll like it, between the combustion, like banging through the door, I am man, give me head. It doesn't work that way. But porn, again, media gives you this horrible indication of how sex should be enjoyed. And then there's the morality. That's the big one, because that entails religion. That entails, oh, my mama said I shouldn't let no boys look at my hoo-ha, because if they look at my hoo-ha, I'm gonna get pregnant. Dealing with that stigma about morality. And then there's the medicine part of it.
Okay.
I love my doctors. I love those with the initials after my name. But sometimes if you are in a examination room and your own doctor doesn't want to discuss sexual health, then that adds at the level of like, oh, if my doctor don't want to talk about why I can't ejaculate, then something really must be wrong with me. And it's this circular loop that plays in your head. If my doctor doesn't want to talk about it, I must be defiled. I must be a deficit. Something must be wrong with me. And all that tends to build up in someone's head, so they really can't step in that space of sexual pleasure. And sadly, Dr. Dickerson, is that a lot of folks, particularly us with vulvas, don't know what pleasure feels like. So when you talk about masturbation, when you're talking about knowing your own pleasure zones, those three big ones really prevent us from telling our partners what we like because we don't even know what we like.
Okay. Okay. So what you're saying is when you say those of us with vulvas, for those who didn't learn that in sex therapy, Cheryl's talking about women, I believe. And what you're saying is that a lot of women don't know their own body. They don't know what they like. And so they cannot communicate to their partners what it is they like.
Hmm.
And
Exactly.
and that's making sex bad.
It's making sex horrible because then when you have the person with the vulva not knowing what they like, and the person with the penis saying, well, Starlight Cinnamon on, double trix L, double XL said you like this, you like to be banged up like this, then that must be what you like.
Hmm.
However, if she never had that space to explore what she likes, he's going to go off what he learned in the media. And that's where you have a very unhealthy sex life.
Okay, okay. So what is it then that you think a lot of men do that they're learning from media? Men or women, I want to say men. Men or women are learning from media that's keeping them from um, giving their partner pleasure.
Ooh, how much time do we have?
We can keep going until Julius tells us we have to stop.
So, as you know, and I also have to be cautious because I do think that there is a place for pornography, sexual imagery, as we call it.
Okay.
I do think
So
there's some.
you wouldn't say no porn because there are a lot of people who say that porn will ruin your relationship. And what you're telling me is there's a place for it.
There's a place for it. There's more erotic. There's more gender neutral, sexual imagery. There's some that's catered towards women and eroticism and less towards the transactional part of sex that can be tantalizing, that can be sensuous and arousing. So I'm not going to throw all the porn out, but when I say porn, people generally go to the hardcore triple X, pizza guy at the door, bring the
Hmm.
doorbell, he comes in and start banging away. That's what people think about when they think about porn. So to answer your question, what gets in the way? What gets in the way is this idea that number one, that he is going to always be rock hard ready.
Hmm.
So that plays in the mind. If he isn't as erect as porn says he should be, something's wrong with me.
Or something's
Uh,
wrong with him.
exactly. And not only am I not as rock hard as Double D Dunn in the movie, but
Where do you get these names from?
I'm telling you, I have a very vivid imagination.
Okay.
um, if you're not as rock hard as Double D Dunn, and then if you don't last as long as he's lasting, he's going 20, 30 minutes in, and something's wrong with me.
Hmm.
Not realizing that generally, and I have to back this off from those with penises who present with problems like, oh, I came too fast, premature ejaculation. Well, how long did it take you? Oh, it took me like a minute or 3 minutes. That's the norm. It shouldn't.
I was just about to ask you that. So, what is the average time that a man can, or I'm sorry, a man or a woman, anyone who has a penis, what's the average time that a person with a penis can hold off before ejaculating?
Generally, it doesn't become clinical unless it's anywhere from 0 to 30 seconds. Yeah, we got to slow
That's
some
too
things
fast.
down. We got to slow
Okay,
some things
like on
down.
American Pie.
Like on American. Now, and I also, to avoid even making that an issue, sometimes you're excited. Sometimes, like if he hadn't had none in 10 years and he just sniffs it and he
Mhm.
comes, it makes sense.
Okay.
But if it's a pattern of like, all right, back to back to back to premature ejaculation instances, then okay, let's take a look at that. So anyway, so just to answer your question, anywhere from like 1 to 3 minutes is typically the time it takes for from once the penis penetrates to ejaculation.
Okay, that's
Um,
good to know.
so I have to a lot of times educate those with penises, like, hold on, slow down, partner. It's not what double D done says. Is you don't I don't know if
Because
you
Double D
realize.
Dunn is going on for a whole 30-minute video.
Thank you, but double D Dunn had number one, he had fluffers, so he
Okay.
can get that first
What's a
that first.
fluffer? I don't know what that is.
To make sure he gets that first nut off before
Okay.
he gets filmed.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes. Number one, he has that. Number two, Dunn has been in the industry for years, so he pretty much knows. He has mind control over his penis, so he can pretty much, on the spot, just shoot off, and he's good.
Can a sex therapist not help someone get mind control over their penis?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I wouldn't say mind control. I would say, mindfulness.
Mindfulness.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's just about being present. It's just about, I always talk about touch and, being very present with your five senses. What is it that you're smelling? What is it that you're feeling? All the five. And it's not really about controlling your penis. It's about being able to enjoy the pleasure and not trying to jump the goal of just ejaculation.
Okay.
So once we can change that narrative of like, yeah, I'm not just trying to get one off. I'm trying to like sit in this place and see what feels good to me, what feels good to them, what sounds I hear, like what am I smelling, like what am I hearing? Once we get to that place, it is sort of a mind control, but it's not really over your penis. It's allowing your penis to enjoy what's going on and enjoy the energy flow that's happening between you and that partner.
Okay.
So it is a level of mind control, but you're not telling your penis what to do. You're telling your penis, calm down. I'll say something else. Calm down. And just be present to where you're going. Be present to who's kissing it. Be present to what you're going inside of. Be present to who's stroking it. Just be present to what penis, be present. And a lot of that is just, again, that whole sense of mindfulness.
Okay. So back to the previous question. That was like,
yes, I was going to go back. I know.
Like 2C. All right. So go. You're on track. Go ahead.
So yes, you were saying how other ways can porn affect how people interact or to prevent them. So there's the whole, I forgot if I said double D or triple D done with whoever done is.
I think it was double D. I think it was double D done.
Double D done. Okay. So now we got past the stiffness of double D done's penis. We got past the endurance of double D done's penis. Then, let's get to the whole expertise of double D done. Like double D done knows how to, flip legs up, throw legs overhead, switch positions almost seamlessly without changing camera shots.
And like, apparently he's dealing with some very flexible people as well, because he's got people there to work with him to make him look good as well.
Thank you. That's another part of it. Whoever Double D Done is working with, they are also a professional in this. So they pretty much know they've been around the block a few times. I gauge, I'm going to figure to know what they're doing as well. Not to mention, this whole idea of spontaneous arousal. Like, as soon as Double D Done comes on the scene, like, oh, I'm supposed to be hot and horny and wet and just be ready for him. And no.
Okay.
That's one of I have so many soapboxes. That's one of my biggest ones.
Pick one. All right. So one of your biggest soapboxes is that one that the person is supposed to be hot and wet and ready when whoever her person is comes in.
That may be nice, and this is a general, stroke, pun intended. There's a general stroke for folks in their 20s, right? And you're in your 20s, yeah, you're ready, you're hot and heavy. But I'm in my 30s, I got bills to pay. I'm in my 40s, I may have kids, bills to pay, a job that I don't like, traffic to get through. All those stressors hugely adversely affects your desire. So no, when you kick in the door with a pizza in your hand, I'm not going to just want to give it to you and be hot and ready. Like, I got to worry about this boss I just got off the phone with who's giving me crap about it.
Somebody bringing you food isn't enough.
You tell me, Dr. Dickerson.
A $5 hot and ready pizza? That's not enough to turn someone on.
That ain't enough. They ain't enough. So when you talk about something I get in my soapbox about, it's this idea of this desire that those with vulvas or whoever the receiver is, like this desire, they're like, oh my God, he doesn't love me anymore because I don't desire sex like I used to. All right, so tell me about your day. Oh, I had to wake up this morning, get the kids ready for school. This one kid was giving me issues about this, and I dropped the kids off, realized I had the 2 wrong shoes on. I'm like, all right, you stop right there. You tell me, is that a good backdrop for wanting to have sex? And
No,
like,
you just want to be left alone after that. Like you don't even want to talk to anybody.
thank you. Thank you.
Like I said, you see why Harrison wasn't here tonight. Well, this is I didn't want Harrison to be uncomfortable, so.
I'm happy. Thank you, Mike. Yes. So, did you know that blood pressure is actually one of those indicators of erectile dysfunction? So, when you talk about when you have issues with, my blood isn't flowing, or my penis can't get up like it used to. One of those things we have to rule out is like, all right, what's going on with your heart health? Because essentially, if your blood is flowing as it should flow to your penis in a healthy form. And if there is some
That
blockage
makes sense.
somewhere, if there's some blockage somewhere, if it's not flowing as it should, let's take a look at your heart and see what's going on, because that may be a whole nother issue. You worrying about getting a heart on, you need to worry about a heart attack.
Okay, worry about the wrong stuff.
Thank you. But because they saw Double D Dunn kicking the door with a pizza, they think that they should react, or they should have the same type of benefits as Double D Dunn. They don't know Double D Dunn's heart health. They don't know Double D Dunn's hormone level.
They don't, and he's not sharing it on the
No,
video.
he's not.
Probably doing
He's
very
sharing,
little talking.
he's sharing his penis though.
Yeah, doing plenty of. He's sharing something. It's not words.
It's not words. If it's words, it's like, it's like.
And that's not words. That's not words either. All right. So my next question is, what if someone has a partner who just has absolutely no idea what they're doing? Like
Mm,
I say, so my question is basically that I get the idea that some people, sometimes men in particular, as you say, people with penises, have been fooled into thinking that they're really good and bad. Like, other people who have been faking orgasms for years, or, really making them think they're doing the thing. And then years later, they move on from that relationship and find out that they are a disappointment.
mhm.
Is that something that they go to a sex therapist for? All right,
Yes.
and so then what is it that the sex therapist does to fix
Here,
that kind of issue?
here's where sometimes I have to walk very carefully, because I don't want to be somebody's ego bruiser,
Uh,
but you
Well,
know,
here we want you to bruise some egos.
is one of those things where
Tell it.
without going there. So, and I'm happy you bring that up, because sometimes past relationships does the most harm than current relationships. Because you have that partner in the past who doesn't tell you, no, that's too hard. No, you don't know what you're doing. No, don't touch me there. No, it's not about that. And they sit there and they take it literally. And then
Hmm.
he moves on to the next person, and he
Like on The
thinks
Color
he's,
Purple, let him do his business. Isn't
thank
that
you.
what she
And
said? And move on.
exactly. Well, he done moved on to the wrong one this time, because the wrong one's like, you ain't doing something. Something's wrong
Like,
with you.
dude, what are you doing?
Yes.
Sahara
So
said the truth will set them free.
so without saying that, what I do is I ask about their relationship history. I do ask about their sexual history, and how did you know that pleasure was reciprocated? How do you know that she was pleased, you were pleased? Like, what type of indicators? How do you know? And still there's a little ego in the picture. So there are homework assignments that I like to give to my folks who think
Okay.
that they are the bee's knees to vaginas. Like, all right, here's a simple assignment. Take it home. Try this out on your partner and see what their feedback may be.
All right, so give us a homework assignment. Do you mind giving out a little free homework to the
Anything,
viewers?
anything for you. My favorite homework assignment that and this tells, and this tells the tale most times, is the simple sensate focus exercise, and it's basically you rub it on me rub it on you. There is no sex involved. Don't expect sex. Let's just rub on each other and see how our levels of touch feel. See if you're touching me too hard. See if you're touching me too soft. Let's leave some room for direction to say, oh, touch me here. Oh, touch me there. A few things happen in those scenarios. If there is touch and no feedback, See, I knew what I was doing. I'm like, let's explore that a little bit. Like, where did
Mhm.
you touch? What did you check in? Like what type of what was said, what was done? Walk me through the exercise again.
Or did she
There
lay there and just take the touch the same way she's been laying there taking the
take
D all,
exactly
all that time?
exactly because if unless there's something, unless there's a sensory issue going on
Hmm.
unless somebody's on the spectrum, unless there's neurological damages, unless there's something going on with nerves, with nerve endings. Most, not all, but most folks, the if the mood is right, if you're nice and clean sheets, you smell good. Like there's an aspect of the exercise that requires both partners to shower each other and make sure everybody's nice and clean. So if you're nice and clean and there's no, issues with that, if you touch somebody in certain places, you're going to get a reaction. So if you tell me there is no reaction if you softly like massage her outer lips, if you touch her clitoris just a little bit, nothing happened. No, she didn't say anything. All right, somebody's
As you were
lying.
right, you were probably not touching the right
Something's
thing.
something's going on. So
Hmm.
so there's one result I like to peel back the layers. Like, all right, what's going on? And then there's the result when this happens more than most. Oh no, we tried and she didn't want to take her clothes off and she just clenched up and was tense the whole
Mm,
time.
okay.
I'm like, all right, there's some trauma maybe that happened
Mhm.
somewhere there. She's just not comfortable with you. Something about your energy, something about her. There's something else there. But if it's to your point, if it's simply that he doesn't know what he's doing, there's a whole lot of more room for that than you know, she's tense and she's not comfortable being naked around me, or she's not comfortable with any form of touch, or we keep coming up with excuses not to get around to the exercise. All right, y'all avoiding something for a reason. What's going on? Are you not vulnerable with her and other it just opens up a whole playbook of other questions. So that's one of my favorite, the sensate focus. Most folks who are tapped in to being present, most folks who are again have a basic, have this baseline, like, all right, let's just go to square one and see what feels good to me, what feels good to you. If we can start from what just feels good to each other as a receiver and as a giver, then there's room there. If we have all these other pretenses, there's a whole lot of work we got to do around something.
Mm.
Does that answer your
Mm.
question?
It does. It does. Thank you. Thank you. And I don't think you bruised half as many egos as you thought you would. I thought you were gonna go in. It's like, go for it, Cheryl. Do it. Bruise the
No,
egos.
no. So there's a lot of education, depending on the folks, because again, not everybody, people out. So here's a little fun fact.
Hmm.
The penis head, right, tip of the penis,
Hmm.
roughly has around 2,000 nerve endings.
Okay.
The clitoris of the female has about 4,000 nerve endings.
Okay.
So I'm
So
like, let's
twice
just
as many,
on
at least.
half the space.
Hmm.
I'm like,
Mm.
let's just start there. What are you doing? Like, and how are you doing that? Oh, I go down, I eat her out, and all this other stuff. All right, but how are you doing that? Like, what's your method? Oh, I just go in. Do you check in with her to see? Some
Or
folks
maybe
don't.
he doesn't know what a clitoris is. So do you have like a vaginal
I wish
model?
I do have a pillow. I have my favorite vulva pillow. Yes,
Okay.
yes. I do have a pillow I pull out, and it's nice and pretty and puffy. And I'm like, all right, let me show you. This is the clitoris. This is the outer lips. This is the clitoral head. You can pull the head back, and you may have the clitoris right. Like I have. Yes, the education is a
Okay.
huge part of those folks who don't know. To your point, who don't know what they're doing in the bed. Like, all right, let's get back to vulvas 101.
Because
We
that's
don't like.
not what they teach in sex education. No, they do not teach about sexual pleasure. They teach about sexual safety, which I'm assuming you go over that with some of your clients,
Mhm.
but they don't teach about sexual pleasure, especially. And I think in sex education, they're just trying to scare children away from doing anything like that. Which As a parent, I'm okay with that right now. But, eventually when people become adults, probably learning about the 2000 versus 4000 nerve endings is, in a smaller space, it's probably very important.
Hugely important. Again, knows those three M's. That's the merger of the medicine, like,
Mhm.
hey, if you have sex, you're going to get STIs. With the morality of it, like, nope, just don't bring no baby in this house. You're not supposed to have sex, period. That plays into people's psyche. And 20, 30 years later, I have this anxiety about having sex because I'm gonna get somebody pregnant, or I'm gonna get an STI or whatever. So peeling back again those layers and give them, okay, it's okay to have an orgasm. That's fine.
Okay.
That's
Thank you,
fine.
Sherry. All right, so
Right.
in our email communication, part of your bio said the genuine sexual nature of people varies, and if denied, can impede personal, emotional, spiritual, and psychological growth. It's not your
Mhm.
place to fix anything or dictate any idea of normalcy. You also said that your therapeutic approach is to honor and respect whatever sexual distress may be present without judgment. So, my next question is what qualifies as sexual distress? What do you mean when you say I mean like distress? That sounds big. What's sexual distress?
It is big. Well, considering who's in my chair at the moment, there's the one. So most folks, and you get this, Dr. Dixon. Once most folks get to the point of establishing a session and saying, "Okay, I need help. I'm gonna seek a therapist," they're already distraught about something. And here's where I like to differentiate myself from, again, your sex therapist and then your sex coaches or your intimate partner folks, professionals, is that um, they're, aside from, let me give you an example. I am a male, I have a penis. My sexual distress on the surface is every time I lay in bed with my wife, my penis starts hard, then it goes, like I said, starts here, goes down, start here, immediately, just it's like a response. So my distress is that my penis can't stay hard. And I can't, and since it can't stay hard, I can't insert it in her vagina. That's, that tail is off into I'm depressed behind it because I feel like I'm less than a man.
Mhm.
That's the therapy part. I'm anxious about it because every time I'm in bed with her, I get anxiety with it. If it happens again, like I don't know how to stop this from happening. Another level of anxiety. There's the frustration and fear. Like, all right, will my wife think that I don't love her? Will my wife think I'm not attracted to her? There's this fear that she may run off and find somebody else. So the therapeutic part is trying to meet those that emotional distress, right? And then the sexual distress is, the biology of it. Like, all right, why is your penis having an adverse reaction to your wife in bed?
Mm,
Let's try to come up with other ways you can be intimate with her while we try to figure out these three things. Because until you can gain your confidence that your sexual skills is compatible with what your wife wants in bed, until you have that confidence level, then no matter what tools we have, no matter what exercises I give you, no matter what touches you offer, if you don't think, if that anxiety piece, like what's going to happen this time, this is going to happen again, if that's still playing in your head, then good luck laying with your wife, because you're never going to really feel like you can be in the relationship because your penis still denies you. So the distress takes on many forms, but that's again, that's why I like to point out that I'm the sex therapist part of it, not the sex coach, because the sex coach would get in the bed and engage in sex with you and say, hey, this is how or some sex coaches, I'm sorry, I don't want to generalize. There are some who do that, who would actually get in bed with you and say, hey, here's how you get your penis to relax, and see, this is how you put it in, and actually go through the motions with you. I fall very short of doing that. I'm not gonna do
they're very short.
I'm not gonna do any of that. We'll talk about it. I'm not gonna do about it.
Mhm. All right,
So,
great.
so that's a distress. Like, there's the actual physical distress of my penis won't stay hard to go inside
Mhm.
my wife. Then there's the other emotional distressful part of it as well.
Thank you so much for explaining that. Another question I have is as a sex therapist, do you advocate for bringing toys into the bedroom or into the whatever room that the intimacy is happening?
It varies. If the toys are a substitute for if they're a distraction. Again, if there's this attachment piece, if you're not allowing yourself to be vulnerable or exposed to your partner, so you're going to use a toy as an in between because you don't want to be that vulnerable with your partner. I'm like, yeah,
Or a replacement, like you use the toy so much that you don't even want your
you
partner
don't even
anymore.
want your partner exactly. Like we got to take a time out on the dildo. We got to take a time out on the anal balls or anal beads. Time out on the ring. Whatever it is, let's take a time out and see why you have so much comfort in your toy and
Mhm.
what's preventing you from having that same or a similar comfort with your partner. So there are times when I do ask folks do they always honor that? I can't say again, because I'm not in the bedroom with them. But I
Mhm.
do ask them, like, hey, can we just take a time out on the toys because we got to figure some things out. Now, on the flip side of that, when it comes to, as I was referencing earlier, those with vulvas, when they have issues not knowing or identifying what pleasure feels like, I like to recommend, something that buzzes every now and then,
Okay.
something that, that's motorized with batteries, just so they can understand. There are some who will flat out tell me in their 40s or 50s or what have you, I don't know what an orgasm feels like. I've just never touched. I just don't know what that feels like. Not to say that all vibrators are going to deliver an orgasm, but let's play with some sensations and see what's going on. Again, that whole idea that your clitoris has over 4,000 nerve endings. And again, I'm not a big researcher, but I read a lot. Apparently, it is the only non-functioning part on a female body that's purely there for pleasure. Like it doesn't serve a purpose. It doesn't help in
Mm.
childbirth. It doesn't help with cycles. It doesn't help with, I don't know, if you could waxed. Like it doesn't help protect. Like I don't. It's just there for just pleasure,
This is absolute only purpose.
for pleasure, so it can lubricate the vaginal canal. Yep.
All right.
So
Thank you.
use that. Please use that, females.
All right, so I want to give you the chance to kind of give us some last words. If you had one thing that you would want our viewers to know about sex therapy or about you or about their bodies, about anything, what would you want it to be?
That's a loaded question, Dr.
Well,
Jessica.
you have take as much time as you need to. What
Okay.
do you want us to know? Here's
Okay.
your chance.
So, okay, one thing that I want folks to know when it comes to sex therapy, there are some therapists who are one and done, who are solution oriented. Like this is how you orgasm. This is how you get a hard penis. This is how you do that. I don't operate in that space. There are some therapists out there who may be able to do that, but I see the person as a holistic being. So I'm not just going to talk about erections. I'm going to talk about self-care. I'm going to talk about your family dynamics. I'm going to talk about how you deal with stress. I'm going to talk about your social network because to me, all that plays into it. So that's if you're even thinking about coming my way, don't even say, "Hey, can I get this done in 2 sessions?" I'm going to tell you no.
Mhm.
Don't do it. And I want to say that's most sex therapists, because we do believe in the totality of the person,
Okay.
but I can't speak for everybody. That's just the ones I've been exposed to. When it comes to sex in itself, I tell folks all the time, you are the expert. You know, bring up those 3 M's again. You know what feels good. You know what you like. And people have a tough time refuting what Preacher Man said or refuting what Double D Dunn did on the TV. Like you know what feels good to you. Don't listen to the advice of others about your body. You know what feels good for you. You know what you want to experience. Leave it at that. You are the expert of pleasure when it comes to your body. Don't let anyone take that consent away from you. Let anyone tell you how you should feel. Don't let someone, as much as we love our partners, don't let your partner say, "Oh, your desire is low. You don't want me anymore."
Mhm.
Tap into your own body. If you know you're stressed, if you know you're burnt out, if you know you just feel exhausted, you're not even thinking about sex, that's the problem. Tap into that. Don't let someone say you don't want me anymore. You don't find me desirable. You don't want to have sex. That may be true, but I know me. I'm just freaking tired.
Mhm.
And let that be it. Be the expert of your own bodies, please. Be the expert of your own bodies.
Thank you. I love
No
that.
worries.
All right. So why don't you tell everyone where they can find you if they'd like to get in contact with you after the show?
I am so bad at marketing, and I was a marketing major. I'm sad.
I was like, did you get a marketing degree from Hampton?
I so did. Okay. So currently I can I guess the best way would be because my email, my website can direct you to wherever you need to go. All right. It's www dot realsextherapytalk.com. So I'm sure I got that right. www dot realsextherapytalk.com.
Thank you.
And no worries, whether it's hotel sex, whether it's counseling sessions, whether it's just to see consultation, if it makes sense for us to get together, everything can be contacted through my website.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you again for coming. This was a very fun show, a very informative show. For
Thank
those of
you.
you who are listening, we hope that you tune in next Thursday. We'll be here every Thursday live at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also watch our replays on YouTube or Facebook or listen on Apple Podcasts or other podcasts. Let's see, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other places where you can hear podcasts. You can find us on www.2therapists, spelled out TWO therapists with an S.com, or connect with us on social media. Instagram and Twitter is the number 2TM show, or just search for 2 therapists and a mic on Facebook. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Like this.